Welcome to Align Your Practice, an exploration of the seamless relationship between the business of chiropractic and the future of natural health care. Join us as we engage with an array of talent, from seasoned experts to passionate new entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Dr. Joe Esposito.
Welcome to another episode of Align Your Practice. This is Dr. Joe Esposito. I'm excited today for our talk about creating chiropractic opportunity. For those of you who just graduated or have been either in your own practice or employed in a clinic, we're going to break that down a little bit. I have a guest today, Dr. Brian Dahmer, who is a second-generation chiropractor. And we had a conversation about 6 months ago, and it was just kindred spirits. I just love the way he spoke about this awesome profession, what he's doing for our profession, and how he's supporting chiropractor. So, Doc, thanks for coming on.
Hey, glad to be here, Joe.
So let's start letting the guests know, a little bit of your background, and then we'll break down a little about the chiropractic opportunities that we have in the profession.
Sure. Yeah. My father's a chiropractor, graduated from Sherman College in 1981. I've been around it, all my life. And I went to Palmer in Davenport, Iowa, and just always had a strong passion to help people. And, I knew that I would be good just seeing all the miracles and things that happened in clinic and even in my own home. When my father used to bring people home on a Sunday afternoon, and I had to carry them in and then they would walk out. But, I had a drive and wanted to help as many people. And as we grew, I knew that I actually bought one of my father's practices out of the town that I lived. And, we turned it around and all of a sudden, from 30 people a week, we're seeing over 300 a week. And I had the opportunity to hire, my first associate right out of Palmer, Florida. Palmer, Florida wasn't even in existence when I graduated in 2004. And we started to build a team. And then I was like, man, I want to go practice where I live. I go to church there. My kids go to school there. What would it be like to open a clinic, where I live? And that's where it all started, with our journey. Now, fast forward, we have 6 clinics. We have 9, chiropractors. And from that moment back in 2006, when Dr. Patel joined our group, I haven't had a single associate leave our office. We've let a few go, 2 or 3 that just weren't a good fit and didn't have that same drive to want to grow. But we just created an incredible team environment where docs can thrive, that are just true caregivers who want to be the best doctor they can. And they're getting paid really well, working 4 days a week, being able to spend time with their families and just love to collaborate, and they see the growth in the future.
I love that, and that's what attracted me to bring you on to the podcast. Is you've never had an employed chiropractor leave your organization, and that gives testament to what I'm seeing in the profession. 25 years ago, I think most people took a job as a stepping stone to open a clinic, and 99% end up opening their clinic. Now what we're seeing is about 30 to 50% of the profession suffering because running a business is not the same as being a doctor. We don't see a lot of surgeons saying, oh, I wish I opened this hospital. They want to be a surgeon. They want to serve people in their profession. So the expectation that every chiropractor has to run a business is destructive to this profession, because not everyone's wired for business, and we shouldn't expect that. So part of me, Doc, is I want to edify the practitioner. I want to edify the people that in the art of chiropractic that are delivering and serving and helping people live better lives, because that's what this is all about. If you don't have the knack for business now in this stage of chiropractic, there are amazing opportunities for you to be a caregiver, deliver amazing care. And Dr. Brian, hats off to his organization and not having ever have a doctor leave. So what do you attribute to a difference? And you know what I mean by the stereotype where they say chiropractors ate, they're young, there was no salary, you couldn't stay even if you wanted to because you couldn't feed your family. What do you think shifted now these days, like your clinics? There are strong opportunities. In Align Life, we have opportunities for doctors coming in. They could either be employed or they can buy a franchise and run their own business. Whatever the risk and reward they want and how they're wired is where we'll let them go. But what do you think the change is, whether it be your business or this profession, that's allowing caregivers to have a prosperous, abundant life as a caregiver? What are your thoughts?
I think that number one, when you come out of school, because I actually just hired 2 docs out of Palmer in Iowa. They were actually in the same class, and I didn't mean for that to happen. I interviewed completely separate. I think I did 32 interviews before landing on both of them, and they just joined 2 months ago. And the collaboration and the friendly competition that they have is just so much fun. And they're complete opposite personalities. You know what I mean? One is really into sports. He just did 75 days hard. He's in the gym. He loves taking care of athletes, and he comes from a family of contractors. And the other is just incredibly intelligent, more of a teacher, a great listener, acupuncture certified, used to be a massage therapist. So different backgrounds. And what happens when patients come in, we'll have grand rounds where we put clinical cases up, and everybody kind of comments on, what's going on, how they would be treated, the care plan they would set up. And when you have several minds and people in the same room collaborating, the patient wins because they get just better care. It's elevated. New techniques and new equipment that we're constantly adding to the office. So it's never antiquated. It's always cutting edge. We have digital x-ray in all our clinics. Everything's paperless. If a patient comes in, their information is over all 6 clinics. And so, a lot of doctors, when they're coming out of school, they don't want to stumble and try to figure out in 10 years what they could learn in 2 years. And so, and we say, listen, if you want to launch and you want to go somewhere and open up, that's perfect. But a lot of the docs, when they get in it, it's not just about the resources that are there as the group, but also they're having fun, and they can go on vacation, and we have other docs that they know, like, and trust covering their patients. So they don't have to come back to double the work and, oh my gosh, this person fell off their care plan, or I got, my new patients are stacked on top of me and I can't even enjoy coming back from my vacation because I have all this work. And so it's already taken care of, and we're helping each other that way. The other thing is, we pay well. And I think I always put myself in their shoes, because we know as chiropractors, it can be exhausting physically, mentally, emotionally. You come in and the patient wants to know how long, how much, and can you help me? And maybe they're a little irritable because they're in pain, and it's our job to, have the skin of a rhino and soul of an angel, right? And just kind of turn them around. And once we get that first result and they're feeling better, then we know that they're going to, stay, pay, refer, and then move on to that wellness that we all strive for. And that is our final valuable product for all our associate doctors, is to be able to take someone as a new patient through a care plan, get them out of pain, and then get them to wellness and renew on wellness to maintain their health. And that's the stat that I look for in any associate coming on.
So you said a couple things. So one of the things that provides the environment is, and I'm thinking of doctors that are listening that are looking to hire their first doctor. It's converting from just having a job to building a business by employing doctors. So there'll be people listening and trying to mine our conversation for, what do I need to prepare for? So one of it is a fun atmosphere. That's pretty important. And you mentioned that, because I like that myself. I create an environment where people, like, at the end of the day, they're more lit up than when they came in. They had so much fun. They miss the team when they go on vacation. Like, that's the energy you want to create for the doctors that you hire. The second thing you said is they don't have to deal with a lot of the minutia of a practice. They got coverage. So you're making the opportunity more seamless and less stressful. So they have fun. They don't have to deal with a lot of the detailed work, and they get to focus more on their craft. Any other advice for the doctor that's about to hire their first employed chiro? Those are 2 good pieces. Anything else that you would say, guys, build this or set it up this way? Or
I would just say, have a strong benefits package, have a strong, salary. Don't be afraid of that, and make sure you write down your plan. I mean, when you hire a doc, obviously, if you're doing things right, they should be in the black in 90 days. And so you need to have a plan for that. And what are you going to do that's going to bring value to the practice once this associate is taking on the patients that maybe you're seeing yourself, or maybe you're just trying to add. I think that it's important to have regular meetings with your associate doc, even when they're trained and they're just on the go. I meet with all the docs once a month. We have different clinical excellence goals. I pay for their continuing education, pay for their malpractice, do retirement, have a strong benefits package that way. I had one doc that I even did a life insurance policy with, and this is kind of a unique plan. And, he wants to be an owner in the future. And I saw just a great talent in him and knew he's going to be really good. So it's over 10 years, and I put $10,000 in this policy each year. If something happens to him, he chooses the beneficiary and has $500,000 to go to whoever he wants. If he leaves before the 10 years, it just comes back to our company and we would start over. But if he finishes, he gets $100,000 cash at the end to do whatever he wants with. And of course, I'm hoping that he invests in the practice and buys it. And if not, if he just stays on, wants to be a part of the group, then he's got a great bonus that he can do whatever he wants with. And so, he was really excited about that. I saw, something special in him at the very beginning. So that's just an example of creating a good win-win relationship, with an associate right off the beginning.
I like that. And there's another model of earmarking a piece of your percentage of revenue that they're driving, earmarking it aside that sit in an escrow account, the same vehicle where there's money down to purchase one of your clinics or expand in your organization or go out on their own 10 years later. So it gives them a piece, a nest egg that they can use for something where 1% of or 5% or whatever you do put aside. And again, if they decide not to continue, then they lose that money down. If not, they have some kind of down payment. So yeah, I like those vehicles where they could see a vision over 3, 5, 10 years. Helps build longevity in the office as well. The other thing I recommend is that we make sure that we know their core values of how they're wired, and making sure that we help them honor their values through their business relationship with us. So what are they trying to accomplish professionally and personally? And not just train a doctor, but develop a doctor. So a doctor that is able to generate $30,000 a month in revenue is different than a doctor that can generate $1 million a year in revenue. So you got to level them up, and they want to be continually developed. Don't think you just train them on the first 2 weeks and be like, okay, work,
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Right? They want to be developed, and they enjoy that journey. As long as they're continuing to develop, I think you have a good win-win relationship. And also, don't be afraid to open the door to conversation, meaningful, high confront conversation about work, economics, equity exchange in the relationship, to make sure that everyone's feeling that there is a strong relationship. So I'm sure you have, over the years, you have some tough conversations sometimes, or someone feels a certain way, and you have an open conversation and build the relationship stronger, right? I mean, that's just part of it.
Absolutely. I mean, I had one doc that was looking to open a practice right down the street, signed a lease and was ready to leave, and was afraid to tell me. And my staff found out about it, told me about it. I said, hey, I want to have lunch with you today. And, I pulled him in and I said, what are you doing? I said, have I paid you well? And he said, yes. Have I given you a good opportunity, great, environment? We always update to the newest equipment. Anything you've asked, I've tried to provide to make your job as easy as possible. All I ask is that if your PPF, like you mentioned, your personal, professional, financial goals, if they don't align, that's fine. Just tell me about it. I mean, I will gladly, give you recommendations and help you, go open wherever you want to open. And so we had a long conversation, and at the end of the day, he came back and said, you know what, I don't think I want to take on all that, stress, and I just want to stay here. And he's like, I think I just wanted to inquire because I know I could do it. And I'm like, I know you could. And, it's just a matter of, where you want to be 10 years from now. And so you have to have those regular meetings and you have to talk about those things. You have to renegotiate sometimes contracts. And I did it wrong at the beginning. I was basing it based on patient visits and other, quantity, because that's just where I came from, high volume. And now I do it more on quality and outcomes and just, more, what hits the bank and is collected. So it doesn't matter the case type or if they sell a pillow or a vitamin, they're getting a piece of everything. And we create a win-win, especially when you have multiple docs in the same office. So I think those are very important conversations to have along the way, and you will renegotiate from time to time. But as long as you have your percentages and you know what your costs are and your employee cost doesn't go over that percentage, then you have some room to get creative.
And my advice to you, if you have associates, first off, open the door for those conversations. Second off, don't make decisions during the conversation. If you're unsure, you got to look at your business model. You got to make sure that the relationship can be maintained. But as Dr. Dahmer said, if their personal, professional, or financial goal can't be met within the context of what you're able to provide, it's okay. Work together, make a plan together, honor a separation if that's the best solution. But keep it where we have a brotherhood or a sisterhood in chiropractic that we love this profession. I think I see too much negative relationship in that. And it just breaks my heart that practically every associate I've ever had has been mentored me. I mentor them after when they left to guide them and help them on their journey. And it feels good to be able to keep relationships even when there's not full alignment on some of the future things. So if you're in practice, just plan on that. And plan on not only, like I said, not only training, but plan on developing. That's a key component of making sure that there is a good equity exchange in the relationship. They want experience. They want your scar tissue. They want an easier, a better systematic way of delivering the care with all of the infrastructure of the clinic. Awesome. So give me some thoughts on opening, like doctors that are looking at opening multiple clinics. You went from 1 to 6. Was that over a short journey, a long journey? Because again, we have people that are in their second and they're like, what does the future look like? Well, let me ask you this question. Which one was the hardest, the second or?
Definitely the second. Definitely the second. And once you do the second, the third was a little bit easier, and then after that, it's like, okay, let's go. 4, 5, and 6 came, within a year and a half, and so you know how to scale, you know how to hire. You're not afraid to take that risk. I think the biggest, scariest thing is, what if I hire this associate doctor, open a second practice? I'm in between 2 offices. We build a volume that I can't possibly see myself, and they leave, right? And what are you going to do? And that's always a scary thing. The other scary thing is, what if I can't afford them? I bring them on, I have this salary and extra overhead. I have to hire another CA, and then how long am I going to have to float this doctor before it's profitable and I pay back my investment? So those are the parts that you really have to plan for. And just create backups. I would say the first thing is you get with your marketing team and you do a waiting list practice and you figure out how to pre-launch this associate doctor that you're bringing on. The 2 that I just brought on before they even started. And realize credentialing takes a little while too. If you're in with insurance, you got to talk to your credentialing team. How long is it going to take to get them on the plans that you're on? Because at the beginning, it'll just be cash and maybe personal injury, something like that. So you want to start at least 3 months ahead of time, and doing some interviews with this associate that you could put on your social media. You build up their profile on your website. You start to have them be an exam doc and do screenings in your community. And all of a sudden, you build up a waiting list of new patients that are ready for the opening day. And it will make it a lot easier to be profitable early in the first, 30, 60, 90 days. and then sail from there. And then you just continue you never stop interviewing, because you'll get better at interviewing. You'll create backups. You'll find docs that maybe won't be a good fit full time, but they'd love to be a fill-in doc for you just in case, something happens. You have some backup there. And then eventually you replace yourself if that's your goal and become, phase 2 and working on your business instead of in it. Eventually, as you multiply, it's very necessary. I stopped seeing patients about 3 years ago and just became a clinic director. And so my job is to, train and, lead the group forward and keep bringing new services and, things that I couldn't do when I was seeing, 350 people a week.
So what do you think to make the next office? Do you have a parameter of saying like 30% margin or X dollars of free cash flow on the last clinic in order to open? Do you have a marker that you would say, like someone's in their first clinic, they're eyeing the second, they're doing really well, and they're wondering, am I ready for that second one? Do you have something in your mind that you would say, don't jump until X? Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's important. I have a goal to pay the clinic off in 2 years or less, whatever build out equipment that we've put into it. And as long as I've paid off 50% of my initial investment, then I will launch the next one. The other thing that's important for me is I've always wanted to be within a 15 minute radius. We're in 3 counties. We have 2 offices in each county. And every time we open another office, our overhead drops because I get on the radio and I talk about, our clinics. It goes across all 6 locations. So that $250 investment on the radio now is split 6 ways. We have a full-time marketer that goes around and markets to attorneys and doctors and does events, health fairs, those type of things. And we'll have, she just did the Manatee Festival as a 2-day event. She, signed up 20 new patients. They ended up being dispensed between 3 clinics. So my marketing cost goes down. My billing cost goes down because now my billers are, taking over and splitting. And then the admin cost, your regional manager goes down. So I think that when you have a bigger footprint also, we're north of Tampa in Florida, and there's a lot of attorneys in Orlando, Tampa, even Miami, that are marketing all over the state of Florida, and they look and they see, wow, there's this rural area, they look us up and we're getting referrals that we never would have got before. So, when I launch and I look 50%, paid on the clinic that we open, make sure that we have a certain amount of profit margins, and then we launch the next one and I try to keep it in that area. Also for staffing reasons, because sometimes we'll bring up a manager in the office and say, listen, we're going to be launching. How would you like the opportunity, to be promoted and go be the point person in this launch? And it's worked out really well that way.
That's awesome. Well, awesome. Great conversation. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate what you're doing with this profession. I love that you're a principal doc building big business. A lot of people think when you're the principal doc, there's a stereotype that the business is separate, the people that do business and be principal. But I love meeting principal doctors that are doing amazing things and building abundant businesses, because that's what this profession needs. So thanks for all you do for the profession, the way you treat your doctors and the business insights that you provided everyone. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, Doug.
Awesome.
Pleasure being here.
Thank you.
This episode was brought to you by Align Life Chiropractic and Natural Health Centers. If you're interested in creating your dream practice or want to know more about Align Life, go to alignlifepodcast.com.